Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Set Lusting Bruce, your podcast all about Bruce Springsteen, his music, and mostly his fans. I am your host, Jesse Jackson. Returning guest Yedda is joining me. Always a joy to visit with Yedda. She is just one of my favorite people. How you been doing?
I feel feeling like withdrawal syndrome ever since because I haven't been to any Bruce shows after that. But I had a great time this past couple years on the tour, and I still have my Milan tickets.
Ah,
Oh, I do because they postponed Milan, remember?
yeah.
Yeah, but I still have the tickets. So now I have to find a way.
So I'm going to ask you in a minute about the tour,
Okay.
but in case someone has not listened to the early episode, tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, I'm a carioca, which means I was born in Rio, in the capital of Rio de Janeiro state in Brazil. And I came to the US almost 27 years ago in 98, April 98. I left Brazil on April 1st of 1998, but it wasn't an April Fool's joke. I was being serious about that. And meaning I have lived most of my life by now, actually, here in New York, not in Brazil anymore. And I work as a translator and an interpreter. I work for the New York State Courts, interpreting for people of limited English proficiency over there. And I also work with private clients, and I work translating also to and into Portuguese and English. And I've always been a music lover. I think music was the first love of my life. I was introduced to music at an early age because I had two older cousins. That one was, when I was born, he was 7 and she was 10. So they were already into rock and that kind of stuff. So when I was growing up, I remember hearing about Beatles, Stones, Queen, Talking Heads. So I grew up listening to that. So I had an idea of who those people were. So you go from there,
Mhm.
right?
Did,
So
does you does New York feel like home?
I gotta tell you, ever since 2015, when that thing came down the escalator and
Hmm.
started saying those things, yeah, I have my moments that they feel.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when you said when you were talking about how are things going. I was going to take it positive that we're a little depressed that we don't have Springsteen shows to go to, but we could be depressed about other stuff too, couldn't we?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, we're in sync there, and I will continue to fight the good fight and keep trying
Me
to
too.
remind people that, hey, this is not appropriate. But on to happier things. How many shows did you get to go see over 23 and 24?
15! I
Yay!
know! I
Wow.
never in my life would think that. First of all, that I would have enough money for that. And let's face it, those are not cheap. Yeah,
No.
yeah. And I didn't have like pit tickets for all of those. Hell no, I cannot afford that. But sometimes my tickets would go like all the way up, like in the bleachers. But I didn't care. I was like, I was in.
Yeah.
That's what mattered to me. And sometimes I had better seats, or sometimes I had floor
Hmm.
tickets, and it was a big mix. But what matters was that I was there,
Amen.
and I was having fun, so much fun.
Now, how many shows had you seen before this tour? Okay, so you doubled.
19, almost double.
What countries did you see him in?
I saw in the US, in
Hmm.
France, and in Italy.
Okay. And how many of the shows in Italy? And how many in the US?
So it was 3 shows in Europe only.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, uh, 2 shows in Italy, one in Ferrara, because it
Okay.
was on my birthday.
Yes.
So I realized it was a sign, right?
Yes.
And the first one was in Paris, 3 days before my birthday, on May 15th.
Okay.
And all the other ones were the US,
Okay.
but
Um,
all on the East Coast.
okay. So, what were your feelings? You've seen a lot. There was a lot of discussion about in 23, he wasn't changing the set list up a lot. In 24, he started to doing a little board. What were your thoughts about all that?
I think, I don't recall if the last time we talked, I don't think I had seen any of those shows the last time we talked. I thought we had agreed I was going to come back after I saw them,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
At first, I was like, oh my God, he's singing the same song. But in the back of my mind, I'll be happy just to hear them.
Right.
And I'll be just thankful that they're still doing it. It's like
Yeah.
I've said it many times before. They could be playing the Wheels on the Bus for 3 hours, and that will be the greatest 3 hours hearing the Wheels on the Bus ever.
Uh,
But
um,
it wasn't until the first show I attended
mhm.
that it really clicked with me
Yeah.
why he was doing those songs and in the order.
And
Then all of a sudden it made sense.
yeah, and by the way, I released your episode in April of 23, so we probably talked in February of 23. So it was probably you had not, yeah, there had not been that many shows yet, right? So that makes a lot of sense. So we're gonna save and talking about the last show you saw as last. But before we talk about See Now, was there shows that stood out to you?
Yes.
Okay, please share.
I would say the third MetLife concert
Okay.
absolutely stood out. They were on fire in every show, but that one was like, wow, what are you doing here?
Mhm.
I thought the Baltimore show this year was
Mhm.
also fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
What about it?
I think the energy was pretty good.
Okay.
The energy of everyone that was around was pretty good, and their
Yeah.
energy, how they were doing. And I had a floor ticket,
Okay.
but I knew I was not gonna do the pit or anything like that. So I took that completely out of my mind. So I did the same thing I did in Rome.
Sure.
So I was not gonna leave my mother all day alone in Rome, in a city where she doesn't speak the language, or locked in a Airbnb. Come on, it was her vacation as much as it was mine. So
Yeah.
I found myself a nice spot on a hill, on a bit of a hill, and I just enjoyed the show. I didn't worry about taking pictures or videos, none of that. Just danced and jumped and sang, and it was such a fantastic time. And I
Mhm.
did the same in Baltimore. I
Yeah.
stood at the back of the pit. I had a lot of space around me. I didn't worry about any of that
Yeah.
besides enjoying the
Mhm.
moment.
Yeah.
So that made it even better, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Yeah. What any and I think that's a great idea, right? To feel that, just get involved in the show and just enjoy that, because we don't know how many more times we're going to get this. So, what were your thoughts when you were hearing he was going to do this festival and it would be there on the beach? Did you have any thoughts about that?
Yes,
Okay.
I hate festivals. I used
Okay.
to like festivals when I was younger, but that was decades ago.
Sure.
Nowadays, I'm like, oh, my knees cannot take that.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm like, oh my God, no. Festivals, that means people are going to be opening before he plays. Oh God, it's going to be hell. For him, sure, we do everything we do for love, right?
Yes.
But in my mind, it was like, sure, I'll go anyway, but there's absolutely no way we're going to get close to the stage. I was just going to be able to hear them,
Okay.
right? And see them on the screen. By the time we actually got there, some other nuts were texting us, "Where are you? There's actually some space next to us here by the rail." And we're like, "What? What talking about it?" And I'm talking to my friend Dino, there's space by the rail. She's like, "What? Let's go." And we ended up right there by the rail.
So fun.
It was
Uh,
so much fun. I walked in at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Here I am.
some of the other people were around, right?
No,
Yeah.
and besides, I'm sorry, it's a festival. Okay. It's
Yes.
it's not an arena or a stadium. It's a festival. It's the beach. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not it's
Yeah.
it's it's like an open field. Come on.
Yeah. I get that. And also, you're surrounded with other spring nuts, which are always amazing people, right? So you're with your crowd, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's wonderful. Right after he went to that show, Mark Dempsey came to Dallas to see a Cowboy game, and he and I and his lovely bride, we all went to dinner, and he talked about how much he loved that show, and it was one of the best shows he's ever attended. What do you feel like? How do you think of it as?
It's in my top three Springsteen shows
Okay.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was out of this world.
Hmm. Yeah. I immediately, the moment it was available, I got it, listened to the show. It sounds like he was having fun.
Oh yeah.
It sounded like he was just enjoying life, and the whole band was. Any highlights from that you want to share?
It was the first time I heard Thundercrack and Meeting
Ah,
Across the
yes.
River. First time, never heard them before.
Yeah.
It's the kind of, you go to so many shows and you think, oh, that's never gonna happen. Okay, you did. Yeah, there's always a first time, right? To hear some song, and it was like, oh my God. When he started talking about, I had heard Local Hero before, but when he started talking about, I wrote this in a factory, won a master, and I'm thinking, is he talking about? And he starts, and I'm like, oh my God. It was just unbelievable. It was just so beautiful. I think it was one of the most beautiful renditions of racing that I've heard. The
Hmm.
show in Albany, the show in Albany was one of the best in the tour this past year. And they played a version of racing that I thought they could not do any better.
Yeah.
And then came See Here Now.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you go, wow. I think that's something that Niels mentions in that Road Diary documentary, that
Hmm.
this time around they have a chance to keep things very tight when they playing, because they keep rehearsing the same. They play a bunch of the same songs, so they have a chance to keep improving on
Yes.
that.
That's great. I saw three shows in 23, one in 24. And I will tell you, when I watched Road Diary, I immediately looked to see if there were any tickets available in Canada and could I work out a way to fly there and go. Because I knew, I always want to see a Bruce show, but after Road Diary, it's like, oh, I want to see this again. I want to see this again. Any thoughts on that documentary? You've already mentioned a little bit.
I was watching Road
Yeah.
Diary and I was like looking at my calendar. Is there any way I can travel?
Yeah.
It was just a beautiful love letter to
Yeah.
the fans.
Mhm.
I got very emotional at times watching it. It was just because we keep looking at them and thinking they are superhuman, right?
Mhm.
Nothing's gonna happen to them, that they don't age, that they don't get sick.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep doing that until they are 150.
Yeah.
but that's reality is quite different, right?
Hmm.
I got very emotional at times.
Yeah. What do you think in store for 2025? What are you doing to get past the not getting to go see shows till
Uh,
you get to go to Milan? What are you doing to keep your Springsteen spirits up?
oh man, right now I'm just working like crazy, trying to see some good art in the museums over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Milan situation for me is that the shows they fall in a pretty good week for me work-wise because it's on the 4th of July week,
Okay.
let's say. So work is pretty slow for me, but I would have to fly from Milan to Brazil because I have a bunch of things happening right after that that I'll have to attend. So it's gonna be I'll have to figure out that whole situation.
Yeah.
New York, Milan, Rio, New York. So it's not gonna be like a simple trip
Mm-hmm.
to
Yes.
so I can figure out this bigger trip
Yeah.
and see them in the last two shows of the tour.
Mhm. Do you
Yeah.
think he'll put on other shows? Do you think he may go to Australia? Think he'll do some US dates? What do you think?
I don't think they'll go to Australia. I don't think it's
Mhm.
not because they don't want to,
Yeah.
but because it's a long trip.
Yeah.
And Patty probably cannot make such a long trip.
Yeah.
Probably going to be harder for her. And God forbid he needs to come back because she's not feeling well or whatever it is. It's a very long flight back home.
Yeah. How's everything else going? All of us are
Yes.
fighting the post-election blues. So, what have you been doing to keep your spirits up?
Listening to good music, watching some reruns. I decided there is a show that whenever I'm feeling a little blue, don't ask me why, but somehow it's like my comfort food. It's the
Okay.
X-Files.
Ah, nice.
I love Mulder and Scully. I've been binge watching the X-Files
Mhm.
again.
That's great. I've seen a couple of them, but I haven't seen them as much as I should. So, yeah, I may have to get that on a warning. I'm watching West Wing again because that always makes me happy watching that. Yeah. What else has been going on with you that we can talk about as we catch up?
Oh man, let me see. Not much because I ended up going to Milan anyway because I was gonna treat one of my childhood friends who lives in Spain to one of
Okay.
the shows. So her birthday is on May 31st,
Yes.
and the first show was supposed to take place on June 1st. So
Okay.
that was my birthday gift for her because it was one of those milestone birthdays. Yeah. And then when they postponed, I think they postponed probably like 10 days or so before our trip. I went through like several of those stages of grief.
I bet. Yes.
I'm slightly dramatic. So my first stage was denial. Denial involved a lot of crying. We're like crying like little kid crying. Our things are not refundable. Our hotel is not refundable. We're gonna travel and we're gonna have a good time. You know why? Because it's us and because it's my birthday. So that's it.
You
Stop
have a
crying.
you have a very wise friend.
No, I don't know how she puts up with me, but she does. And I'm
Well,
very thankful for that. It was one of the best trips I'd ever taken in my life.
hmm
We had such a good time, but
what all did you
such a
do?
good time. Um, we arranged to have this tour to the Swiss Alps. It was like a day tour,
Ooh.
like 14-hour tour, like waking up 6 in the morning to take a train. And so it was fantastic. We took another day trip to Lake Como. one of the most beautiful places I've been to. Nikki was doing a book signing over there anyway. So I went, I met with Donna, met with other nuts over there. We just had a good time. We ate
That's awesome.
so much good pasta. Oh my God, it was so good. Such delicious pasta and much cheaper than New York.
Imagine.
Oh, we're having dinner for 10, 12, 13 euros. I cannot have dinner in New York for 15, $16. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If I'm
Oh,
going to a good restaurant,
awesome. That's great.
time.
That is good. I am so glad you had a good tour, and
I
I'm so
did.
happy that you got to do. Was there anything, was there any song that you wanted to get that you didn't?
Yes.
Okay.
Seriously. What's up with playing the river in Europe and you never play in the shows in the US? At least not in the ones I go to. I
Okay.
mean, is it too much to ask for? No, it isn't. No, it
No,
isn't.
there we
No.
go.
I even got Land of Hope and Dreams once. But
Yes.
the river, nothing. I got trapped like twice or three times. The river, nothing.
You
I mean,
wanted.
it. I want it. I deserve it. Okay?
Yes, there we go. Yeah,
Exactly.
I did not get Land of Hope and Dreams either,
Oh, me
but
too.
too bad.
I never got Priest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would have loved Burning Train.
Tell you, I took my mom to see them.
No, tell me that
Oh,
story.
yeah. I took my mom to Europe with me last year. She saw the show in one of the shows in Paris with me.
Okay.
So she loved it. She got very emotional. My mom doesn't speak English, but she was used to listening to the music because I was playing at home. I was interpreting the songs to her, explaining to her about a month and a half before, my mom had lost one of her sisters. She got very emotional when he was playing I'll See You in My Dreams. She was crying, but she loved it. She loved it. She was up on her feet dancing when they were playing Dancing in the Dark. I have a video of that. She loved it. She loved it. And the friend that couldn't see them in Milan, by coincidence, she lives in Spain, right? By coincidence, her job sent her to some kind of workshop or whatever it was called in Madrid 2 weeks later. And she's telling me the dates, and I keep thinking in the back of my head, I was like, there's something about those dates in Madrid. What is it? I'm like, and she goes, why? Oh no, there's something about those dates. They sound familiar. And I was like, wait a second. Then I looked on his tour dates, and he was playing in Madrid in one of those dates. I was like, oh my God, he's playing in Madrid in those dates. You have to go. And then she and I arranged for her to take an earlier train together in time to go
Yeah.
to the show. She goes to the show. The following day, she messaged me, okay, fine. I get it now.
Ah, ha, ha.
I,
There you go.
She goes, their energy, they not young. I was like, yeah, they not. She goes, and by the time they started the encore, I thought, well, okay, it's probably just 5, 7 minutes and they over. No, they play for about 30, 40 minutes old.
Yeah,
She
that's
goes, yeah,
hilarious.
I understand now. I understand why you're so passionate. Like now, I was like, yes, another convert.
There you go.
Yes, my job's done.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'm so glad. Let's stay in touch. We'll have you on after you go to Milan and you can share the stories.
Yeah, it will work
Yes.
out.
If someone wants to reach you, how can they?
Instagram is my YEDDINH
Email to me.
email. I'll email to
Okay,
you.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
I'll have to figure it out. I don't even remember by heart, honestly.
Thank you, my friend. As always, enjoy talking to you. Once again,
Thank you so much.
I
It's so good to
appreciate
see you. But by the way, how are you?
I am okay. I am good. I started a new job on Monday. That's very
Okay.
exciting. I'm very happy for it.
Ooh,
Losing my mom in July, and then my sister lost her husband in November. So
I'm
it
so
was
sorry.
it was a tougher year, but a lot of good music and a lot of people who love me, and we got through it. So it's good, right?
Yes.
That sounds good. Thank you. All right, listeners, go check out her Instagram. Send her some love. Thank you. Reach out to me if you want to join me and tell your stories. But for now, we're going to say thank you, be safe, be kind, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Much.
You have a great night. I love you.
You too, Jesse. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. I will keep you guys posted.
See ya. Bye.
Bye bye.